people aren't just leaving their jobs in search of remote opportunities and better pay. The Great Resignation is also a result of people being flat out unsatisfied with their jobs. We are witnessing something of a work revolution. Hey, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Preston. I'm a professional recruiter in the technology industry. In case you haven't been paying attention, I'll reiterate, the pandemic forced major changes on how we consider and approach employment. While some of these changes, like the rise of remote work, were dealt specifically with the effects of a highly contagious disease, a lot of them were inevitable even before the COVID-19 outbreak. The pandemic simply provided the push needed to get the ball rolling. Employers who were resistant to these changes quickly suffered from the effects of the Great Resignation, that is, a mass exodus of employees who left their positions in search of greater flexibility and convenience. But as we've seen over these last few months of investigating the current state of the employment industry, people aren't just leaving their jobs in search of remote opportunities and better pay. The Great Resignation is also a result of people being flat out unsatisfied with their jobs. We are witnessing something of a work revolution. People are actively resisting the work to live mindset. They want jobs that are closer to their passions so they can find personal growth and meaning in their career alongside professional growth and compensation. As a recruiter, it's my job to place candidates in roles that they are interested in, ideally beyond things like benefits and pay. Because when an employee has an impersonal investment in their job, they perform better, and that reflects well on my abilities as a recruiter. But with that in mind, I know how hard it can be to find a job that you're truly passionate about. It's important to strike a balance between passion and practicality. So in this video, my goal is to help potential job seekers find more meaningful job opportunities. I'll offer some tips to narrow down your passions and balance them with practical needs like work schedule, salary, and benefits. But before we get started, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Like, subscribe, click that bell, really means a lot. I think it's impossible to look for so-called meaningful jobs without first figuring out what exactly defines one. The truth is that purpose and meaning varies greatly from person to person. There are plenty of people who have the ability to find meaning in the most mundane tasks. Other individuals may struggle with jobs they perceive as pointless or boring and need something more personally engaging in order to become invested in it. While I believe that anyone can find the job that they're passionate about, I'm also a realist. Certain industries are harder to break into than others, and you'll need to ensure that you'll choose a position that allows you to sustain a healthy lifestyle. So let's dig a little bit more about what gives a job meaning before we go any further. What gives a job meaning? One of the easiest ways to identify purpose and meaning in a role is to determine the positive impact it has on others. Jobs that are focused on assisting clients or customers are often especially meaningful, especially when an outcome results in an immediate positive feedback, whether that comes in the form of a direct review from the customer or a client, or simply seeing the impact of your hard work on their lives. However, not all jobs offer this positive feedback loop. Many jobs don't involve interacting with the customers or end user in any way. And if you do, it's not always a positive interaction. I think this is the reason so many people are having a hard time finding meaning in their work. Luckily, with a little bit of effort, I think anyone can inject meaning into their role. Creative meaning. Have you heard of the so-called quiet quitting phenomenon? You may have seen a news article or report about it, or you may remember my video on it a few weeks ago. Quiet quitting is basically a fancy term for tuning out at your job and only doing the bare minimum in order to fight job dissatisfaction. While this may provide short-term relief, we learned that quiet quitting usually results in further dissatisfaction. The best way to become more invested in your role is to offset negativity by injecting meaning into your job. This is easier said than done. It's best to first get into a positive mindset by doing something uplifting. Reading positive news, getting exercise, watching a happy movie, or reading a good book are great ways to get yourself out of a negative funk. Next, remember not to isolate yourself from your friends, family, and coworkers. If you're sick of your job, it may be tempting to spend more time alone and doing things you want to do, but this can often do more harm than good. Go out of your comfort zone and continue to cultivate positive social interactions, especially with your peers and even your managers and bosses. If you're in a role where the results of your responsibilities are obscured from you, I think it's important to go out of your way to research the impact that your job or organization has on your community. How do the products or services help your customers? And can you see a noticeable improvement that your work has made on the world around you? It's entirely possible that you will still struggle to find purpose and meaning in your job. Perhaps your research even turned up negative reviews and dissatisfied customers. It happens. If this is the case and you think you like to find a new, more meaningful role, here are some tips on how to find one. Tips for finding a meaningful job. When looking for a job that's meaningful, you must first consider yourself. What are your interests and passions? It should hopefully be relatively easy to develop a list of your personal passions. When starting out, don't hold back, even if you think getting a job in a particular industry is slim to none. Write it down anyway. This list can contain anything from personal hobbies to broader traits or strengths you like to focus on in your personal and professional lives. Consider your lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you live? How would you like to live? It's important to consider these questions before moving forward because it will help you narrow down your list of potential options to the most realistic ones. Ideally, the ones that pay enough to sustain your current lifestyle or improve it, if that's what you're looking for. Alternatively, you may consider cutting back parts of your lifestyle in order to save money and be more flexible when it comes to the jobs you're open to. You want to balance passion and purpose. Once you've considered your passions and lifestyle, it's now time to take that knowledge and start narrowing down the industries and roles you're eligible for. Here, it's important to think outside the box. For instance, maybe you love writing and video games, but you don't think you'll be able to work for a massive entertainment company like IGN or GameSpot. You might consider looking into technical writing roles, which are much more abundant and may pay much better. The most meaningful jobs fill a need. The closer you can get to directly helping your customers and clients, the easier it will be to see the greater purpose in your everyday work. Company culture. Before we move on, I think it's important to mention just how important a company's internal culture is to finding meaning and purpose in your work. There are plenty of companies that provide valuable goods and services to the communities that are poorly run. As a result, morale gets super low. Once you've narrowed down on some specific companies you may be interested in working for, remember to do research on websites like Blind or Glassdoor and focus on internal reviews from current and past employees before going any further. The last thing you want to do is to get hired at a company before finding out that their culture is a complete mess. Do you have anything else to add to the conversation? I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to comment down below. If you like this video, just a friendly reminder to support a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot. Feel free to also follow me at Preston_Park as I try my best to also post behind the scenes content daily. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you on the next one.